Now, over the last 2 or 3 months, my most worn watch has been a bit of an unexpected one, actually. It has been this little thing. This is the Timex MK1 Mechanical, which I covered on Ben's Watch Club and In the Loop last year. And it seems I can't get enough of this thing. I recently got myself a new bomber jacket in a green, not too dissimilar from this strap, and in combination with it, this watch just looks absolutely awesome. It's a bit of a play on a designation field watch design here, but looks prettier than the vast majority in my opinion. And it's also super thin, which helps. Yeah, it's hard to tell quite there on camera, but this thing is very, very flat to the wrist, even with a pass-through strap like this. So yeah, I've been loving this piece of kit and been eagerly awaiting more MK1 watches. And Timex just added a new one to the lineup, which brings back one of their most popular watches. Now, the MK1 Chronograph was pretty popular for a good few years. It was a fairly cheap chronograph with some good looks, and it was one that I always wanted to get round to trying at some point, but I just had a couple of hesitations. One being size, there wasn't really one that would have fitted my small arm, and number two, the case material, because like many of the cheaper Timex watches, that one used a brass case, or the vast majority of them did. Either that, or I think they made some lower tier ones with plastic perhaps. But yeah, there wasn't any in the industry standard stainless steel, which was a shame. But today, that changes. Here you can see I've got what should be the new MK1 Chronograph. Yeah, I ordered multiple different Timex watches at once and took the slightest peek in just to see which one this was, but I haven't had any sort of close-up look at it yet. But yeah, it turns out they've brought this thing back with a stainless steel case. Now, there is one slight downside to it, that being that it's more expensive, as you might imagine, but it also looks rather different too than the old one. Different, but not necessarily worse in that department. So yeah, let's whip it open and take a proper close look together. Now, as always, this watch will be affiliate linked in the video description if you do want to check it out for yourself. Those links typically auto-route depending on your location. And here we go. Oh, I forgot I ordered it on the strap. Here's me thinking I'd ordered it on the bracelet, but no, yeah, it was the strap, wasn't it? And yeah, in some ways, this channel is a bit of a highlight reel for watches, because I often just cherry pick the ones I really like the look of, and this was certainly one of them. And here it is, the new MK1 Chronograph from Timex. And yeah, I think this thing could be a bit of a banger. And here's the code name, by the way, for this particular one, TW2Y71100. And this watch comes in 2 different variants. You just have this one on the strap here, but you can also grab it, like I say, on a bracelet if you want to spend a bit more money. And just like those previous field watches, it just comes in this one color at present, which is bit of a halfway house between a dark grey and black. But yeah, as you can see, while it does share a couple of properties with the old version of the MK1 Chronograph, it certainly is different in a few different ways too, especially the markers there. And as a whole, I'd say definitely looks higher end, if a bit less rugged. There's a few more dressy hints, I'd say, for sure. And we get that chronograph running, eh? Now, as for specifications on this one, we do have that 316L stainless steel case there. Not the thinnest in the world, we'll get the measurements on it in a second, albeit part of that is from that substantially raised crystal. This one looks a bit more raised than that on my hand-wound mechanical watch here, but it is more in line with that was on the automatic before. Now, this is just an acrylic crystal here, so this, while it definitely suits the retro vibe and certainly gives you nice clarity at the dial beneath, will get scratched up over time for sure. You can polish that with some polywatch to get rid of the vast majority of scratches, but if you plan on wearing it regularly, you will get some scuffs on it. Still though, this case is a big upgrade from the brass case on the previous watch. You won't have to worry about corrosion for the most part on this one. It has almost like a 2-step design, which I'm not sure I'm the biggest fan of. I think this case certainly looks better from above than it does from the side. On the back here, we've got a little bit of a screw back with that MK1 logo. Always love the feeling of pulling these off. But yeah, this is a screw back. You do get a moderate 50 meters of water resistance here, so you can probably go swimming in this. Not the ideal rating, like typically I'd really look for 10 bar on most field style watches, albeit this is bit of a hybrid, like I say. It's not quite a field design anymore, I wouldn't say. But for the most part, probably good enough. Just make sure that you don't use those pushers when you're underwater, or the crown there. And on that subject, bit of a mystery what the movement is in this, because it says here quartz analog movement, and whatever type of quartz movement it is, it does have a higher beat rate than most. Haven't got the typical 1 per second tick that you get with most quartz chronographs. This is more in line with the Mecha quartz ones. Let's see what happens if I pause it and reset it. and it snaps immediately, yeah. So I suspect, actually, that they've underpitched that on the spec sheet, because I'm pretty sure, yeah, from the feel of them pushers too, this is actually a, yeah, Mecha Quartz Chronograph, which I consider a bit more of a value add versus the really basic stuff. They use, like, some mechanical parts in their operation, essentially, to give you this really satisfying pushers and that instant snapback there to 12. So I decided to whack the back off this one, and it is indeed a TMI, or Seiko, VK64A, it says here at the bottom corner, which is indeed a Mecha Quartz Chronograph. And you'll see these movements really do fill out the innards of the watch, much more so than most standard quartz movements. And the strap on this one, I mean, it looks really, really nice, actually. Visually looks a lot like some of the more expensive straps, this. I've done a lot of strap research in the last 2 years. This has almost an Italian feel about it, actually. But the colour is a perfect match, I'd say, for the dial here. And yeah, feels okay, actually. I think this is one of their eco-friendly straps, though. Yeah, eco-friendly, genuine leather, it says here. It's something to do with the amount of water they use in the process. It's heavily reduced with these watches, I think. And for the most part, these are actually fine when it comes to, you know, adjustment range, when it comes to flexibility here, and the lining's pretty decent too, but I have found they have a tendency just to kind of shed a little bit at the point where the buckle attaches, a bit more than with the more standardized leather. But as a whole, for creasing, they're actually not bad at all. And yeah, visually, a perfect match. They did a great job with that choice. Oh, this watch, by the way, I purchased with my own money using a discount code on the Timex site. Always got to make that disclosure, don't want to get in trouble. But yeah, these straps are quick release as well, so you can pop them off pretty easily. Oh, and while I'm there, what is that lug width? Because I always forget to do that. So yeah, if you did want to change it, nice and clean 20mm lug width, which is good. I'll give you a nice close-up of this dial before I get the rest of the measurements. And again, like with those others, you get like a semi-matte dial on this one. Has a slight sheen to it, as you can say, but it isn't altogether reflective. And those sub-dials do have a little bit of texture to them too. It's just got the typical concentric circles. Then you've got the elapsed 60 minutes here on the left, as well as the 24-hour indicator here on the right. As you can see, it's also got like an engraved ring like halfway up too. But overall, yeah, very attractive watch this. Not sure if this is a particular homage to a certain watch. It does look like a fair few vintage watches that I've seen from some of the old Patek watches, but not a direct clone as far as I know, which is always good. I don't like realizing that I'm wearing a copy months later, if I can help it at least. The luminescence here maybe has like a slight faux patina tinge to it, but is fairly close to white. Now, size-wise, this is going to be bob on, I suspect, for many people watching this video. Me not included. It does look a bit big for my skinny arm. I've got it here as about 39.9mm. It's advertised as 40mm online, so it's actually a hair smaller than that. That's still right in that Goldilocks zone. Lug to lug on this one is a fairly respectable 47.2, and thickness, if you include that big crystal, is about 13.3, so certainly not the thinnest overall watch. If you were to discount the crystal, the wear experience, shall I say, is like 8.75 there. And here's a look at it on my 6.25-inch wrist, and well, as has been the trend with Timex the last 3 or 4 years, this thing looks great again, especially for the price you pay, which is for this strap version here. At full price, this is currently £180 in the UK, or £205 with the bracelet, but say with me, you never pay full price for a Timex when you can help it. If you use the typical 15% off code for like the newsletter sign up, it'll be closer to what, 150, which for a watch that looks this good, and it's a Mecha Quartz Chronograph too, I don't think that's bad at all. Acrylic crystal certainly won't be for everyone, but you can't find a great deal of watches that look quite this good on AliExpress, at least ones that aren't copies of something else. And that's the thing with what Timex has been doing recently with these more militaristic style watches. They are able to just make these like tiny tweaks that just separate them from many of the other designation style designs, which often all look identical. And yeah, I think this looks fantastic. I'm sure many of these other affordable watch brands are cursing the Timex design team, because these guys are capable of producing these fairly luxurious looking watches for considerably less money. Kind of reminds me in some ways, actually, this of like a Dan Henry style watch, albeit for slightly less money. Now, that is still significantly more than what you could get the previous MK1 Chrono for. That one you could sometimes get for like half that amount on grey market sites, but I do think that this one certainly looks better in the exterior, at least. Strap, by the way, I can maybe just about get away with that. Oh yeah, there is actually another hole too. So yeah, plenty of adjustment holes in fact, even if you got a tiny arm like me. And there's enough holes there for, wow, and then maybe another 2 inches onto your wrist. My arm is 6¼ by the way. And there's a look at it side on there. You can see with that crystal, it's certainly not a super skinny watch or anything. Anyway, let's see how this thing holds up in low light. I suspect not all that well, because it's only Timex's divers that usually have the really good luminescence. And yeah, rather predictable performance here. It's just your kind of run-of-the-mill green stuff. This type of superluminova is fine when it's pitch black, but not really the brightest in other scenarios. As you can see, it's faded substantially already, although it is quite light in this room today. So yeah, there's a quick first look at the new Timex MK1 Chronograph. This thing has had a bit of a price lift, but it has also had a facelift and a case lift. Overall, do definitely like this, and potentially feel like this is one of the rare instances where if this were a micro brand watch, they might be charging more for it. It's usually the other way around when it comes to big brands versus micro brands. But no, this seems like somewhat of an exception. Almost has some kind of Baltic vibes about it to a degree. So overall, pretty impressed. I mean, it's obviously a shame they weren't able to just recase the old one in steel and keep it, you know, even cheaper, because that may have been an even more successful strategy. But this one definitely has more of those dressy vibes. Do you feel like this is a more versatile design? You could one and done this as somewhat of a dress watch too, I think, especially if you paired it with the right strap. But yeah, yet again, well done Timex. Feel like I've been saying that a lot recently.